Now, back to the Trust Radio Network on AM 560. Hear from Chicago's business leaders. Learn who they are, what they do, and why they do it. Once again, here's attorney Stephen A. Leahy.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here at the Trust Radio Network on AM 560, The Answer. We're here with Jim Leahy, my co-host, our producer, Deborah Schreiner, and our very special guest today, Jim Economos from Best Dental Group in Bartlett, Illinois. And today we're gonna pick Jim's brain and figure out what we're gonna answer some major questions, right? What's the biggest? So let's go to Jim and ask him, what's the most common question that you get?
Well, we actually have quite a few, but a lot of it, first of all, is just questions about hygiene, taking care of yourself, things like this. I also do a lot of Invisalign orthodontic work, so there's a lot of questions about proper occlusion and things like this, because a lot of people come in and their teeth are all worn out, and part of the problem is if their teeth are crooked, you're going to have like these serrated edges kind of chopping away the opposite teeth. So one of the advantages of nice straight teeth, for example, is having less pressure per tooth because everything fits more uniformly. Mm-hmm. Plus, jaw problems are eliminated when your bite is correct and things like this.
It's so much about
that's what
happened
with Richard Dent.
Did
you know that?
No.
That's exactly what happened with Richard Dent when he was drafted. He was really skinny, and he dropped really far in the draft. And he had amazing talent, but nobody understood what the problem was.
He needed a couple root canals.
That's right. He got root canals, and then he exploded. That's how he got so big, because they fixed his teeth.
It's a lot like I had a back problem at one problem, and they talk about guarding, right? So you have a back problem, you start walking weird, and that affects the left side of your body or the right side of your body, and then the joints and everything are affected by the way you're walking. Right. Okay, same thing with the teeth, right? Because they're not in right, then it affects all those.
Foundation isn't good.
That's right.
Above it doesn't do well.
Now, here's a question that you probably hear, and I have. Talk about implants versus a bridge. Why is it? Because bridges were everywhere. I mean, I know that implants have been around for a while, but now they're so much more prevalent. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, see, back in the old days, like we've mentioned before, when you had missing teeth, well, first of all, don't pull your tooth out in the first place, and then you don't have to worry about it. But
that's what Yep.
But if teeth are, you have people come like from the Philippines and other areas where they just pull teeth at any whim, and that's a problem. But back in the old days, it was the old metal partials, which people didn't like, or it was the bridges. But of course, you have to have teeth on both sides in order to bridge too. But the problem, like I said, the problem is with bridges is there's nerves inside those teeth. So once the bridge is placed, sometimes the nerve goes bad or something breaks because they're all connected. The whole thing has to be taken off and be redone again. The nice thing about an implant is you're not involving the other teeth, plus you're restoring the teeth that you should have in the first place. So when you have more teeth, you have less pounds per square inch, so to speak. So there's less pressure per tooth because there's a bigger platform to function with.
Now, dental implants, the prices come way down. There's still more than that, but talk a little bit about the price and why it makes more sense, even though it might cost more up front.
Well, you see, another development that's come along now is what's called a 3D scan. See, back in the old days, a dental x-ray is like a photograph. You can have in real life people in the foreground and background, but it's all on one sheet of paper because it's a two-dimensional image. Well, dental x-rays is the same thing. And one of the problems is when you're placing implants, you need to have that third dimension view. And so by having that view, plus it's digital, you can rotate it around. And the software now will take a virtual size of that implant or the virtual implant and place it in that area where you want to put the implant. And maybe you can't put it this way, but you angle a little bit and you still be going successfully. So a lot of things that we couldn't do before, we can do now, because when you have the 3D scan, then it'll tell you if you can place it in there or not. And then also another thing that we do now is called guided implant placement. So once the electronic confirmation is verified, then everything goes to the 3D print shop, and then a replica of the patient's mouth along with the surgical guide is used. So the exact angulation and depth of bone based off the digital x-ray can be used to safely place the implant. Because, for example, on the bottom, you've got a nerve at the bottom of the lower jaw, so you have to stay away from it. You can't get too close to it because you can have some inflammation. And on top, you've got your sinuses and things. You've got other structures, so you have to avoid these things. So that third dimension, that planning, allows us to do these things with a lot more predictability.
So it takes a lot of the guesswork out.
Well, exactly. In fact, in the old days, we had two ladies in particular. We told them we couldn't have implants because, again, when they had their teeth taken out when they were kids, all the bone shrinks away. And that's another improvement too, but as far as extracting teeth. But we used to tell people we can't put these implants in there because the bone is gone. Well, now, like two in particular, once we got the scan, even though it didn't look like they still could because there was enough there on the digital X-ray, so we could then make the guides and place the implants. So one lady's been about 8 or 9 years, the other one's about maybe 9 or 10. So it's a nice service, and it just helps us plan things with more predictability. And the other thing that's occurred now too, like I started to say before, if a tooth cannot be saved, if you just pull it out, the bone shrinks, and that's how nature is. So what we do now, it's called preserving the socket. The day that tooth is taken out, we put a bone grafting material in there. And what that does, it causes the bone where the tooth used to be to take the grafted material and convert it into natural bone. So you preserve that outside dimension with the goal in mind of plopping an implant in the future.
God, imagine being like a paleontologist in the future and just pulling up people from 2018, be like, wow, look at all this stuff in their teeth and there's
What's amazing?
joints.
What is amazing to me is
that I said paleontologist.
Well, that is too. That you even know what that is, but also
I guess it's not paleontologist. It's like whatever it is.
What's amazing to me is how technology creeps into everything.
Archaeologists
and how it makes.
That's what I meant.
And how it makes everything. Even as
a dentist,
Jurassic
Park, right?
How it improves everything.
Right,
It improves your smile. It improves your hygiene, and makes it possible for you to do things you couldn't otherwise do. It's amazing.
That's right. Why whiten your teeth when you could just have the computer do it? Anyway, Jim, your phone number?
630-830-4930.
That's right. Jim Economos with Best Dental Group. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is sponsored.
Very good answers.
Phenomenal.
Very interesting.
Phenomenal.
Very
if you guys are just tuning in, go to watchtalkradio.com. You'll be able to see this stream that we did on Friday afternoon. Be able to get all those answers. And remember, Opem Tax Resolution is a sponsor of the show. 312-664-6649. And visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Come back on AM 560. The Answer.